So over in the corner is a white uniform as worn by seamen, naval seamen, naval ratings in 1910, and it's kind of interesting that we've got a Senate hat, so-called Senate hat, a straw hat. That's what they wore in the summertime, and it's got a cap tally with HMCS Rainbow, because men wore the tally of the ship in which they served, and that had many purposes, not least of which it sort of helped create sort of a group feeling and identification with the ship. The Canadian Navy, of course, adopted the uniforms worn by the Royal Navy, and that was true right up through the Second World War. Although during the Second World War, our Navy started developing some separate items of kit. Our women, our Wrens, had their own type of summer uniform, and then of course, and then in the 50s, the RCN modernized seaman's jumper. And you can see that jumper there was put on over your head. We went to a system where we installed a zipper, and I think in fact the Royal Navy eventually adopted that. And of course those old uniforms were all disappeared when the Canadian forces were unified in the late 60s. And then of course we know that 20 years later there was a revival of blue uniforms, but of a different pattern. Okay, what we got here is a tub which says "The Queen, God bless her." That's a rum tub, and the Royal Navy, and by extension the RCN, had the practice of issuing rum to their sailors daily. This stemmed from back to the days of the sailing fleets, and of course, you know, back in the 19th century, men also were given beer, and then over time this evolved to a rum ration. In the case here, we've got various measures that were used to measure out rum. There was the Navy loves rituals, so there was a certain ritual every day of going and drawing the rum out of casks, and then it was measured out. Junior sailors had to, if they were of age and eligible, had to get their taught individually. Petty officers and chief petty officers had their ration drawn in quantity, so they would, if there were maybe 20 men living in a mess, 20 petty officers living in a mess, they would send their messman, a junior sailor, with this container to draw the rum, and the junior hands had to mix it with water, or in the Canadian Navy's case, Coke. Now this was a grand old tradition which grossly outlasted its usefulness, and fortunately it was eventually done away with, and we moved to a more civilized system of providing alcoholic drinks at appropriate times and of appropriate nature.